Hello and God bless you, boys and girls. Today, I was remembering the day that my youngest brother was born. That my neighbor that lived across the street was there watching me and my older brother and my younger brother and my younger sister, and that I was just waiting by the phone. I could not wait to get the call of was it a boy? Was the baby a girl? Can we go see them? What's their name? I was just waiting by the phone, so excited to hear that. And that memory is so strong in my brain because I was so excited to meet my little sibling. Memory is an amazing gift that God has given us to be able to remember these things that happen in our lives, right? So today we're talking about remembering. Because the Bible talks a lot about remembering too. And the Bible talks about remembering in two ways. So first, the Bible talks about remembering the amazing work that God has done, right? God is saying, don't forget this. And in fact, there's parts in the Bible where people forget and really bad things happen because they've forgotten God's amazing works. Like think about Pharaoh with the story of Passover, that he forgot the great things that God did through Joseph to save Egypt, right? And then he started making the Israelites slaves and things like that. So again and again in the Bible, God says, remember, don't forget the great works that I've done. And not just so that, not really just, not as a way of God like showing off, but God has done these great works for his people. If we forget his great works, we forget how much he loves us and takes care of us. So God says again and again, don't forget, remember the great works I have done. In the Bible, there's the book of Psalms, and a lot of the Psalms, about 70 of them, are about God reminding his people, or King David reminding the people, don't forget the great works that God has done. A couple Psalms you could look at. You could look at Psalm 104 through 106. It's actually like one long story about all the great things God has done. Creation, saving the people from Egypt, saving them from kings that were trying to conquer them, saving them when they were kicked out of their land, and God bringing them back. And each part of the song ends with the A word. It rhymes with Shmalleluya, like Father Gravy would say. Psalm 135 you could look at too. I want to read a little bit of Psalm 100 and 136 because it so clearly says why we need to remember these things. We need to remember these awesome works that God has done so that we remember how much he loves us and is going to take care of us. Praise the Lord who is so good. God's love endures forever. Praise the God of gods. God's love endures forever. Praise the Lord of lords. God's love endures forever. Who alone has done great wonders. God's love endures forever. Who skillfully made the heavens. God's love endures forever. Who spread the earth upon the waters. God's love endures forever. Who made the great lights. God's love endures forever. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Who struck down the firstborn of Egypt. God's love endures forever. Who led Israel through the midst. God's love endures forever. Who split the Red Sea in two. God's love endures forever. And it goes on longer than that. But you can hear God saying, here's these great things I've done. Remember, because my love for you lasts forever. And I'm going to take care of you. So God tells to remember the great works, but it doesn't ever just come, when he says remember, he doesn't just mean, oh, think about this, but it always comes with a pass it on, proclaim it, remember my works and proclaim my works. He tells the people in the book of Deuteronomy, he says, write it in a song, put it in the mouth of your children so that they will sing this song and they can proclaim my works. He also says, drill it into your children. Like, I think of basketball drills. Like, if you have to do the same thing over and over again, it's called a drill, so that you get really good at it. So when God says drill it into your children, say it again and again and again, so that they're able then to go and tell others about God's great works. He says, speak of it at home and abroad, whether you're busy or at rest. So when God says remember, he means proclaim the great works I have done. That's one way that God means remember. But there's another way of remembering. Jesus also says to remember, right? At the Last Supper, he says, this is my body, take it and eat it. Do this in remembrance of me, right? So he's telling us, remember. And it's more than just that. Don't forget, tell other people about it. It is that. He doesn't want us to forget the great things he's done for us because he loves us so much, but it's more. When the Jewish people celebrate the Passover, they don't just think about when God brought them out of Egypt. They believe that it's like they're at the first Passover again, that it's made present again so that they can live their lives trusting in God, right? So it's there, it's happening again. Jesus chose to have the first Mass be at a Passover because he was telling us to remember that way. That when we celebrate the Mass, we're not just remembering Jesus dying on the cross, but somehow, in a mysterious way, we're there. When we're at Mass, we're there at the cross. We're there at the resurrection, and we're there when Jesus ascends into heaven. God makes it right there again. And we're supposed to live our lives like we just saw the resurrection, because we did at the Mass. It was there when we went to Mass. Now you might be thinking, how can I be there at the cross? That happened 2,000 years ago. Well, the first part of the answer is, it is a mystery, but remember, the God who made heaven and earth, the God who split the Red Sea in two, he can do that. Time doesn't matter to him, and he can make us be right there at the cross during each Mass, because we can just remember all of the other great works he's done. He can do this miracle too. So 2 ways to remember. One is to not forget the great works that God has done and to proclaim them. And the second is that we're there. We don't just remember in our mind, but at Mass, we're there at the cross, at the resurrection, at the ascension. Right? So remembering is a beautiful word in the Mass. When Jesus said, do this in remembrance of me, he was making us able to come right there and be with him at the Last Supper during the Mass. For our little kind of assignment today for religion, I have on Power School that you can print off part of Psalm 136. And just like we do when we go to adoration, take a little bit of quiet time, read through the psalm, listen, go to Jesus in your heart room, and listen to what he has to say to you about the great works that he has done to prove that he loves you and that he wants to be with you right every day of your life, but also especially at the Mass, when he comes and he's with us, just like he was with the apostles at the Last Supper, just like he was there with the 2 thieves that he was crucified with, just like he was with the disciples who he appeared to after his resurrection, and just like at the Ascension. I'm also going to link a song by Matt Maher that has to do with remembering leading to worshiping God, which is why Jesus said, do this in remembrance of me. It's just a song I really like. I thought you might enjoy too.